Okay, the first problem that we're going to use Statcrunch for in this section is number 3, talking about the dating and whether somebody's personality matters more than looks. As usual, we go to stat first. We're doing t-stats, remember, because typically our standard deviation of the population is not known, but now we're doing 2 sample statistics. And right now we have with summary. We need to enter the sample mean, the sample standard deviation, and the sample size. I've entered the values here and I did not round anything. Remember that you don't want to round until the end because you are cutting down your accuracy at that point. And this was a test to determine whether there was a difference or not. Our alternative hypothesis was not equal to, and then we're going to go ahead and click compute. Here we have our degrees of freedom. Remember in our previous module, I talked about how it's pretty difficult to calculate the degrees of freedom. It's an intense formula, so it's nice for us to just go ahead and use Statcrunch. The test statistic, as we said, was negative 4.657, and our p-value was less than 0.0001. There is a statement about without pooled variances, and that talks about whether we are assuming that our populations have the same variance or not, and we are just not going to focus on that in this course. In order to complete the hypothesis test for number 4, you need to click Use Technology with Data to run a hypothesis test at the bottom of page 182 for question number 4. That's going to load in a new window. You'll get some background information about this problem here and talking about what the null and the alternative is, and you can check yourself by entering them here and submitting and comparing. But if you scroll down a little bit, it talks about how we can actually use raw data rather than summary data to calculate. Now, there will be a drop down, and it was preloaded for me to use Excel. I switched it to Statcrunch instructions. So then what you have to do is you need to save the target as to download the file. For me on my iPad, I couldn't use Chrome. I know OLI actually works better in Chrome, but I had to open up in Safari in order to be able to click on the link and have it download the linked file. So I clicked download the linked file, and then what you're going to do is you want to open up Statcrunch. You need to sign in. Now that I've opened Statcrunch, I'm ready to load my data. So what you do is you click Data, Load, and then from a file, and it should be on your computer somewhere. For me, you could drag it if it was on your desktop, but I can go ahead and click Browse, and I'm going to use the sleep file, and then you go ahead and click Upload. You may get the screen, you may not. If you do get the screen, just click on it. It will open the Statcrunch window for you. And now I have the data in 2 lists. The only difference in running calculations for t-statistics is that instead of saying with summary, we now get to say with data. And our first column is undergraduate and our second column is graduate. Now this is a hypothesis test where we're considering the fact that undergraduates sleep less than graduates, so you do want to change your direction symbol. Computing, this is where we get our degrees of freedom of 106. We get the t-statistic of negative 1.23 with that p-value of 0.1106. Now, I don't have the actual mean of undergraduates and the mean of graduates or the standard errors of each, but I could go ahead and calculate those by using summary statistics if I wanted to. The last calculations that we wanted to do were for question 7, running the calculations for a confidence interval. We click Stat, T-stats, to sample with summary. Okay, I've entered in the information for samples 1 and 2. Now we're doing a confidence interval. The question asks us to do a 95% confidence interval. I leave my value as 95 and I click compute. And that's where we get our confidence interval of rounding to 0.3 as the lower limit and 2.1 as the upper limit. Easy as that.